On the advice of our new friend Richard Gutman, our day of diner discoveries begins here at the corner of Hathaway Road and Shawmut Avenue in New Bedford, Massachusetts, at one of the most recognizable landmarks on the South Coast, the Shawmut Diner. Joining me is Phil Paleologus, who's the owner of the Shawmut Diner. Phil, thank you so much for having us today.
Our pleasure, Jared. Great to have you here.
Thanks. Now, we got quite a background on the history of diners, and one thing that sort of was a common thread in the conversations that we had over at Johnson & Wales is that these diners tell incredible stories. So tell me the story of the Shawmut Diner.
Well, the Shawmut Diner has a very special thread in the fabric that makes up the community of New Bedford and the southeastern part of Massachusetts. The diner itself was brought here on a flatbed truck from Elizabeth, New Jersey at the end of 1953. And they put it on the foundation. This area was all farmland. Hathaway Road was just a one-lane road, and it was all wooded area around here. The person who put it here had obviously vision. He knew that the growth would come out this way eventually. So the Mello family planted the Shawmut right where it is, and also the Green Diner in the south end of New Bedford. Absolutely. Unfortunately, the Green Diner is no longer there. The demise of diners is a very sad story. But this one was in a very special location. When we came about getting it 28 years ago, we found that it was dilapidated. The original owners had passed it on to some other business renters, and they just milked it for the money. They weren't really interested in the diner itself. When you talk about a diner, Jared, there is something that is so much more unique and different than if you're comparing it to, let's say, a fast food restaurant.
Without a doubt.
The diner, in fact, if these stools behind us could talk, every stool would have its own story of Fred, who came here with his girlfriend Mary, ended up proposing to her here at the Shawmut Diner. Right. And of Jack and Elaine, who went to the senior prom back in the 50s, and after the prom, let's head to the diner.
That's right.
And it wasn't that long ago, Jared, that a very distinguished looking man came in. I introduced myself and I said, welcome to the diner. And I could tell by the way he was looking around, there was something that he needed to do here. And he told me that when he was a youngster, 6 years old, his father had died, so his grandfather had taken over the role of the father in his family. And tears welled up in his eyes. He said, my grandfather and I used to sit right here. And he just gazed there at the stool. And it was a spiritual moment. He was reconnected with his grandfather. And that is the kind of love that you just can't get from another kind of restaurant. A diner preserves that. A diner is an extension of not only Mom's kitchen, but a part of our hearts.
Sure. I mean, you see it all over the place where these diners exist. I mean, they set down roots in a community, and these roots, spread so far, and the connection is so deep with people. I think that's why they've endured, because a lot of people can chalk it up to nostalgia, but it's something more than that. It's really part of the DNA of a community, I think.
That's a great way to put it, Jared. And, there are many strands to the DNA. So, one of them was the everyday worker who could come to the diner and for $1.98 have croquettes, chicken croquettes. Have you ever had a chicken croquette?
I have. Yes, you? I have.
Well, they go down like lead. And then you have the families on Sunday morning, another thread to the DNA of the community. And then you have, of course, your people from out of town the salespeople who would come to town, and the factory workers. Once we had a company right down the street that made nails, and we had a wire company across the street. And at lunchtime, these workers would come over here. They would depend on the diner for a reliable, inexpensive, and yet delicious meal. So the diner really became a part of their household. Let's call it a part of the kitchen economy.
That's right. Now, you've been doing this for a long time, and I can imagine that that running an establishment like a diner presents its own set of challenges. What do you find to be the most challenging aspect of running a diner?
Great question. Ask the real boss, my wife. I work for her, you know. I'm a married man. I face reality. She owns the diner, and I work for her.
Well played.
And thank you. The challenges are more than we can even go into, because nobody will come to a diner and pay $14 entrees. Sure. You come to a diner, if you look at the menu, Jared, there's, $3, $4, $5 for breakfast, $7, $8 for lunch, and it's very difficult when a guest check is only $6 or $7 to make a good profit at the end of the day, unless you had trainloads and trainloads of people coming in here, and it was a constant.
Sure, from open to close.
But because of today's economy, with the way gasoline is, the way people are living week to week, because of throwing another $30 in their gas tanks, they say, well, I can go to the diner once a week rather than 3 times a week. So that's one of the challenges. We have all business around here has gone down.
Sure. And for you, especially in the face of anybody who has visited a grocery store recently, the cost of food has just gone through the roof. So that must be a huge challenge for you.
It is. Not only the cost that has gone up so much, but now they're adding fuel surcharges. So in order to get the purveyor to deliver the product here, we have to pay for the fuel surcharge. And this has a trickle-down effect in the community. Certainly. Because when the Shawmut Diner is slower in business, obviously I'm not buying local produce from our purveyor as much, and it just goes right down, right to the family itself.
But despite the challenges, I mean, the Shawmut is thriving. It's stands here on a beacon, as a beacon on the corner here. And what do you do to set the Shawmut apart? What's something that sets the Shawmut Diner apart from the rest?
Your questions are very insightful. I think the best way to answer it is to look back and to thank the history of peoples who have come in here, the generations of families from grandfather to son, grandson, and in somehow way pay back that gratitude by becoming a part of their charity, by giving back to the community. Because when I first got into this diner business, I knew nothing. It was earn while you learn. And I figured if we treated the customer well, the customer in return would treat us well. And that kind of synthesis worked. And what sets this diner apart is it's part of the tapestry, if you will, of the community.
Absolutely.
And we become a part at Christmas time with the Toys for Tots, for raising monies for the children. Which
has just been, hugely successful program.
Absolutely, and we've been doing that for almost 30 years. The diner is always, a sponsor here or there, from Little League to civic affairs. Every day folks come in, can we have a gift certificate for the event we're having? And that's how the diner plays out in the community, by giving back. It's a very simple philosophy, and we're very, very happy to do that. It's a very interesting business to be in nowadays, Jared.
Sure, absolutely. And now, when we were at Johnson & Wales, Richard Gutman spoke incredibly highly of the diner here, and you only need to take a step through the threshold to understand why. I think in many ways this place reflects the community that it sits in. A lot of people, what they really like about New Bedford is that the people here are real, they're honest, they're sincere, they're genuine, you know, and that's what you get here at the diner. There's no attempt made to sort of, you know, recapture this golden age. It is what it is. It's the diner is exactly how you'd find it, you know, but without trying too hard. It's not pretentious. It's just, it is what it is.
We don't have our neon Elvis up there.
That's what it is, you know, and I think that's really what sets it apart. And I think it becomes a neighbor to the community because it's something they feel comfortable with, you know.
Well, let me first start by saying that Richard Gutman is a worldwide respected authority and consultant, the best there is in the diner business. And for him to say those kind things is just an honor. But what Dick understands about this, the history of these diners, is that we don't need electric or neon lights or pictures of records up on the wall or kids coming out with, you know, the Johnny Rocket paper hats and doing their little opera while they're serving you French fries with gravy on top to bring you what you inferred, authenticity. Authenticity is something that people hunger for. The diner actually is a throwback, and it takes people back to a time where it was a little gentler and kinder. The times were a little slower. The kids weren't as out of control.
Right.
Society had some values that at least defined decency. A diner is kind of like a metaphor for those values and principles. And again, you're not going to find that defined in you know, God bless them, a Taco Bell or anything like that. You know, I'm not putting down fast food, but a diner is separate from the fast food restaurants in the sense that it brings reality to an authentic point. When people are on the highway, unfortunately, America has become one large shopping center from Atlantic to Pacific. There used to be a time where you could take the exit, look at New Bedford, come by the diners, you know, get a sense of the local flavor of what are the folks talking about.
Sure, exactly.
You could walk in, Jared, and have a cup of coffee, and before you know it, you'd be talking with somebody next to you about an issue, and it was almost like coffee and cream.
That's right.
All right? It was a natural process. You wouldn't do that, though, at another kind of restaurant, would you?
No.
So what is it about a diner that brings on that kind of, you know, atmosphere? And I say it's, you know, again, the authenticity, the realness, and the simplicity that a diner brings to our souls.
Well, I think anybody that's watching is sold on the idea of what they mean, what the diner means to the community. Now, if folks want to come and visit the Shawmut Diner, what are your hours?
We're open Monday through Thursday from 5:30 until 2 o'clock.
Okay.
Enough for breakfast or lunch.
That's right.
And then Friday and Saturday evenings we're open from 5 until 8 o'clock. So folks on Fridays can enjoy nice fish and chips. That used to be a great tradition around here.
Absolutely.
And on Saturdays we serve dinner, and it's a BYOB, so you can have a little taste of whatever pleases your palate.
Very good. Well, thank you so much for welcoming us into the diner.
Jared, it is not only a pleasure, but you know what? People like you get it. I mean it. Thank you.